What's up, guys? I'm going to go over my trades on FOMC and show you how we made $7,600 today. I'll be honest, my fills on my exits were definitely not the best. And I did play my regular brackets. So my first trade took a lot of profits within the same candle. Actually wasn't expecting the move to be as big as it was because it was so slow after the rate came out. But then I realized that we were going and, it was really pushing. So I scaled in again and then took profits a little bit slower on that. And then I did miss the top, but we'll get into it. So this was the open. I don't ever trade the morning of FOMC because I know that the FOMC move is going to be, 5 times as big as this. So there's really no point in wasting time trying to catch, 5, 10 points when there's a move that's going to happen to be like 50 plus. So what I was looking for was what happens in previous FOMCs. For the last three, they've sold off into a demand zone and then bounced and rallied for the rest of the day. So, and then they sell off the following day. So that's what I was expecting or looking for if the rate came in line with what everyone expected, which was 75 basis points. If it was 100 basis points, then I was of the thought that we might drop. But if everything was in line, I was thinking bullish and that we would have the same reaction as previous FOMCs. So we did form, I marked a 3-hour demand zone right here in pre-market and the beginning of the day. And then we did have a 15-minute at 39.71 earlier in the day as well. So we had bounced off this once. We rallied for the whole morning. It was actually a bigger move than I thought would happen. Usually it's a little more choppy than that. And then I did have some trend lines as well. So I had this 1-hour trend line from the previous two lows. And then I have this overall daily trend line and channel. So I got a channel here. We got a channel right here, top and bottom, and then this overall trend line, and it all kind of intersected in this area. I also had a key level at 40.30 area, 40.33. So this is a big level to get over. We also did have some supply above that we were trying to get over. It was this area of consolidation here from 40.35, down, or from like 40.14 to 40.30 area. So here's what I saw going into it. I trade the FOMC off the 5-minute. Normally I do 15-minute, but for FOMC I make an exception because the moves are so big and they happen so fast. If you're trading and waiting for the close of the 15-minute, you're going to miss a lot of the move. So we're on the 5-minute, and I was waiting for Powell to speak. Normally there's a reaction when the data comes out. The algos do their thing, they buy, sell, all that. But the real move comes when Powell starts talking. So if you're trying to trade FOMC, I would highly recommend waiting half an hour after the data and then seeing what price action is doing. So here's our reaction at noon. It was kind of bullish, but we had a wick on top, so it really wasn't super strong. And then we got this drop into this 15-minute demand area. This looked bullish, or bearish, I mean, because we engulfed this whole previous range. But I was waiting for 12:30, so I was just kind of hanging out, and we were, we really weren't even doing anything. The first 15-minute was a doji up and down, really didn't give us any sort of context whether we were going to go up or down. Then we got, let's see, so this is where we were at right before Powell started talking. So we literally right in the exact range where we opened for the data. Data came out as 75 basis points. There was really nothing new, so I was expecting us to go up if I were to have a bias, thinking we would bounce down here. So I was looking for some sort of signal to get long, but if we were going to drop, then I would short as well. So Powell came on at 12:30, and we did have this candle. I actually ended up shorting the low of this candle, or the close of this candle, because it was strong and on high volume. Once this didn't follow through and this trend line stayed intact, so this trend line right here really never broke. If I can move it a little bit. Jesus. So connect the lows, looks like that. So the trend line never really broke, but I did short this thinking we would follow through down to this 3 hour possibly. As soon as it started to come back up and didn't follow through aggressively, I got out and then I waited. So once this started to not follow through, and then once this got to about this area where the previous candle opened, that is where I went long. And the reason I did that was because, well, we hit demand one, and two, if this selling volume was really strong, this spike right here, we would have followed through because that is a very strong spike in volume. Just it's about the same as when the data came out. So if sellers were actually strong, they would definitely drive this down and wouldn't let this come back up much. So once this candle started to come back up into the range and started to engulf this previous candle, that's when I knew to go long and that sellers were actually weak because this red candle here engulfed the previous 1, 2, 3, 4 candles almost, right? This candle is the same size as the previous four. But then this one started to engulf the previous one. So that's when I knew to flip long. I did use my regular bracket orders of 10, 15, and 20 points, and those actually got hit in the same candle. So that kind of sucked, but um, Trade of It was kind of glitchy as well. But yeah, so lots of those got filled, and then I was almost out of my whole long already, and this candle had formed on the 5 minute. That is the most bullish candle I've ever seen. Volume is insanely high. I've never seen the FOMC volume this much higher when Powell speaks than when the data comes out. They're usually pretty close or a lot closer. So I went long again after this candle, and the next one was just as strong. Then we started to consolidate a little bit at the highs. We did get this push on volume, so this was a possible good area to scale out. I was hoping this was going to follow through a little more, but it did not. So when, at this candle right here, I was all out on my first 5 contracts, and I got in on my second 5 right here. So after this formed, high volume, no wicks, super strong, that's when I got in on the second 5. And so I was all out of my first right here, and then I started to scale some in this area after this candle formed on high volume, and then we kind of had a little pullback. But we were keeping the trend of higher lows. So you'll see that all of these are higher lows. We did spike, volume did spike here again, but we didn't really follow through as much as I wanted to. So once we got this high volume candle and this formed, I didn't like the spike on volume, so I scaled a little bit more here. Then I was holding 2 runners left for a possible end of day push. And here's what sucks is the end of day push came. See volume picked up on the breakout, and we spiked here. This is where I definitely should have scaled at least one. But I was planning on swinging these if the close was really strong. So to me, this is just looking like, oh man, this is great. We're going to keep ripping because above this 40-35 area, there's really not a lot of resistance till about 40-80. So it's holding the last 2, and then we kind of just started to pull back and retrace. I was hoping this was just a pullback to this key level I had. But unfortunately, we kind of just stalled off and then started to die. And so this is where I started to, so this looked bullish to me. I was thinking, okay, we kind of dipped. Maybe there's a little mini demand zone right here, and then we pump for the end of day. Then the end of day didn't bring any sort of pump, and so I got out on the rest of them here. I actually bought one more right here instead of closing one, and so I just ended up closing everything. So kind of fumbled the last few contracts. And I'm thinking maybe like I should have kept my larger brackets for the FOMC that I typically use where I scale out at 20, 30, and 40 points instead of the regular ES brackets of 10, 15, 20. But still a pretty good day. That was kind of my thought process going into it and why I took the trade and how I took the trades. So definitely wasn't perfect. I played FOMC a little bit better. It was kind of a weird one with how slow it was. This was probably the smallest reaction I've ever seen, and then this just started ripping. So Yeah, so I hope that helps you guys. That's how I play FOMC is I wait for Powell to speak because this is the true move, and then I basically take the first sign on the 5 minute after Powell starts speaking. I probably should have not shorted this until we broke down here, but I saw the volume come in, so I was thinking I was trying to get an early entry to a short like prior to us breaking out. But I did close it pretty quick. Here are my fills. They're not the greatest, but I'll show you guys. So those are my fills. Um, Shorted here, didn't work out, so closed it. And then right when we got to this close of the first 5 minute candle on high volume, went long. These were my brackets. They were super close. I mean, they're normally not that. They don't feel that close when we in normal days, but I should have done my FOMC brackets. Let me show you what those would be. So this is my FOMC bracket. So if I did that, then I would have sold, at 4001, 4011, and 4021, and would have caught a lot more. And then even if I did the FOMC brackets here, oh, they almost all would have hit. So it looks like two would have hit, and the third one would have been like a point off at the very top. So, yeah. So next time I'll know, don't do the ES brackets. These are the close ones. Do the FOMC brackets. These would have paid much more. So, but overall, good trade, good day. I hope that helps you guys. We'll see you.